Welcome back to the farm. I'm Adam, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at one of the most exciting but also one of the busiest times for sheep farmers across the country. It's the lambing season. So in this episode we're going to go behind the scenes. We've already started lambing, so I'm going to introduce you to some of the new arrivals, but also look at the highs and lows and difficulties around lambing. There's an awful lot of planning that goes into it and a lot of work, and it can be quite tiring because it's early mornings and late nights, but let's get up to the shed and see some of the newborns. You can see all the ewes, the female sheep, poking their heads out the window, eating their breakfast, lunch and tea, which is this silage mix we give them. But let's go inside and see the lambs. So what we've got are these pens with groups of ewes in that are due to give birth over the next week. And we've split them into how many lambs they're carrying, as I mentioned. So we've got singles, twins and triplets down there. So all these 3 pens are twins, then singles and triplets. And mainly they're commercial sheep, so they're Romney clean crosses, which is a breed producing lamb for the table. They're very white and woolly, produce a good fleece, and then they produce lots of milk and they're great mums. But in amongst them are rare breeds. So you can see the ones with the black eyes and the black ears is the Kerry Hill from the Borders. And then there's a white-faced Dartmoor just here. And then behind her is a Cotswold. They're obviously our local breed. And then lying down there with a black face and horns, and another one here, is a Norfolk Horn. So those are our commercial and some of our larger rare breeds, but then of course we've got primitive rare breeds as well. So things like the North Ronaldsay, the Shetland, the Castle Milk Murret, and in here we've got our Soays. And so you may have seen some of our early born lambs, which were a couple of Soays. We've now had about 10 more, which is quite unusual because the ram is in with the ewes, so they can conceive early, but usually they don't. They start to ovulate later in the autumn and give birth kind of around March, April time. So it's quite unusual that they've started lambing so early. Anyway, we brought them in to look after them, and they're getting on with it well. But I've got another ewe over here that I've noticed has just started, so we're going to take a look at that. So on this table are all of the bits and bobs that we need for lambing, close at hand. And what I need is a glove and some lube, because I might just need to examine that Norfolk. So what we've got in this pen is a Norfolk Horn that I spotted. The water bag is coming out of her, so the lambs are floating in a bag of syrupy water, amniotic fluid it's called. And usually a ewe will go to the corner, she'll make a space where she's going to give birth, and she'll lie down, go into labour, start pushing, and the lamb would appear. So the water bag has come out, but she's actually stopped having contractions. So it's this ewe here with a black face, next to the one with the spotty face, that's a Norfolk Horn, and because she's stopped going through the process of lambing, there may be something wrong. So I'm going to catch her and examine her and see what's going on. So, right, this way to do that is in a corner. So, to lie a sheep down may look a little bit rough, but what you do is you push their head back towards their bum, push down on their back, and then they'll lie down onto their side. And then I use my left knee to hold her just gently on her shoulder to keep her down. I've got my glove. I'll just take my jacket off. And then, so the water bag here, you can see, is coming out of her. So when humans give birth, they say the waters have broken, and that's the same in sheep. So her waters have come out. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of lubrication on my fingers. And just feel inside. So what I want to feel is 2 front feet and a nose That's the way lambs come out easiest. This is a process you can't rush. You don't want to hurt the ewe. The twin birth was a bit more difficult than I thought, so I've called in Luke to give me a hand. We just helped Mum give birth to the first lamb, but we're using string around the feet to help us be able to draw the lamb out. That's it. God, well done. So the umbilical cord breaks naturally as you pull the lamb out. That was a very, very difficult lambing. These lambs they're quite big and they've got these huge horn buds. But we've managed to get both lambs up. So there were 4 feet coming at once. One of them had its head back and they had these huge horn buds. So she's had quite a stressful experience. Luke, our livestock manager now, will give her some antibiotics. And hopefully she'll start to mother her lambs. Just rubbing her nose in the birth fluids so she gets a taste of it. And that sometimes means they start to lick them. We want her to lick them dry now. So that was a very difficult lambing. 9 times out of 10, sheep get on and give birth by themselves, but occasionally it's more difficult and we're here to assist. And so now she's up on her feet and she's licking those lambs, which is great. And once she's dried them off a bit, we'll bring them into an individual pen where they'll stay safe and bond as a family. So I've just put the Norfolk Horn with twins into an individual pen, and that's what we do once they've given birth. They come into these pens so that the lambs don't get lost in amongst the other ewes in the larger pens, and that they bond as a family. So this ewe has got twins. In fact, she's got a lamb pup, so one of them must have been a bit cold when it was born. The lamb keeps it warm. And let me just pick one up. There's a lovely, good-sized lamb. And lambing has got to be my favourite time of year. New birth and spring is just around the corner. So they'll stay in these individual pens for 3 or 4 days, and if the weather's warm enough, then they'll go out into the field. And I've had quite a lot of questions coming in. Let me grab my phone and see what they are. So here we go. Do you want to read them? There we go. Let me put this lamb down back to its mum. So, how much colostrum does a lamb need? So, for those who don't know, colostrum is the first milk that a ewe produces. It's full of antibodies, and the lamb is born with no natural immunity at all, so it needs lots of colostrum. So, 50 ml of colostrum per kilogram of lamb. Usually the ewe will produce enough, but if she doesn't, then you can buy supplementary colostrum to feed them, and they need it for the first 24 hours of life. That's really essential. One of the main shepherding jobs is to make sure the lambs get plenty of colostrum. So good question. Another one here. I'm showing for the first time this year, any tips? Well, you've got to get your animals really friendly and handleable, and starting with them at a young age is a great idea. You need to halter train them, put a halter on them, because you'll be leading them round the pen. Make sure you're dressed smart with a nice white coat and get your sheep in tip-top condition for showing. It's fantastic fun showing, and going around the agricultural shows is really, really fascinating, seeing what other people are getting up to and meeting lots of like-minded sheep farmers. Now the next one, why are Portland lambs so cute? So we don't breed Portlands on the farm anymore, but they are lovely lambs. The Portland has a white body and a tanned face and is a horned sheep. The males have really long curly horns, but the lambs, when they're born, they're fox red all over, absolutely gorgeous. So they're just beautiful little lambs. We've got around 10 different breeds on the farm, and I think they're all special. Although it might sound a bit corny, I have seen thousands of lambs born, but I still absolutely love it, despite being early mornings and late nights. One last question. Lots of people have been asking, how many lambs can a ewe have? Well, the biggest number we've had at the Cotswold Farm Park is 6, and they all survived. But I think the biggest number in the country is 8, which is a lot of lambs. So if you've got any more questions, do send them in. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about lambing. And so if you have, then like, subscribe, and ring the bell for our upcoming episodes. The next one, we'll be going into more detail all about our ewes giving birth. So hope to see you then. Right, back to your mum.